What's going on, sports card hobby family? We are back again, finally back in town. I had pre-recorded a couple of videos that came out here over the last couple of days, but we are back and we are here to talk about over 50 sports card YouTube channels to check out, including my votes, 10 channels for the YouTube Sports Card Hall of Fame. I'm wrapping it all into one thingy-mabobber. So it's going to be the votes for 10, and then there's going to be honorable mentions, a very long list of honorable mentions, and I'm going to explain why. So it's not just going to be me reading names. I'm going to talk about each channel and why. So make sure you stick around to the end. It might be a little bit of a longer video. Maybe this will be the podcast version, the long form that I've been trying to get to. But it's going to be fun recognizing some really great channels out there, some great viewing options, and a ton of variety. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into it. All right, here are the 10, the votes. At Legends Never Die, I will tag you in this. All right, number 1, Bear Cards 34. Bear Cards 34. This is a guy that, of course, a football card collector, a Bears fan. Obviously, my stepdad is a Bears fan. So I like how this guy talks about his football card collection, but also just the love for the Bears. And he's got all sorts of different Bears types cards and things. And so I really enjoy kind of catching his videos as they pop up. I enjoy hearing his thoughts on his videos. He's also been a supporter of my channel even when he didn't agree with me. And so Bear Cards 34, vote number 1. Number 2, Neo Cards and Comics, one of my hobby friends. He's another breaking news channel like mine, but we've got some variety to our channel. We got different things, but one thing that we have in common is that if there's some big news thing, hobby news thing, we try to be the first to get it out, or at least one of the first. The only channel that I think about when there's some sort of breaking news thing going on is Neo's channel. I hope that Neo hasn't seen it before me, because I know both of us it's a race against the clock to try to put our thoughts together to get out video number 1 on that topic, probably of a 9 video series on that particular topic. But it's just kind of a fun game that we go back and forth doing. It's not a planned thing, but for years now, going back, his channel is almost as old as mine. He started like 2 months after me. He also joins me on Off-Centered with Steve, with Flippin' Steve every other week. As far as his collection goes, one thing that I do like is that it's varied. He's got a variety of different things, like I do. He also collects a lot of pop culture items. He collects pop culture cards, whether it be Star Wars autographs. He's also got a lot of X-Men comic books. I collect graded comic books as well. And then, of course, he's got sports stuff, but it's not just one thing. You know, he's got, Nick Chubb cards for his Browns. He's got Manny Ramirez for his baseball stuff. And then he'll speculate on this thing or the other thing. He'll buy a box of this or a box of that, try to grade some of it to sell it. So he's doing a variety of different things, and that's one thing I like. You never know what you're going to get sometimes, because yes, he's focused in certain areas, but bouncing all over the place. All right, next up, we've got Chris, baseball card collector, investor, dealer. This is a really obvious one. I've had the good fortune of meeting Chris face-to-face. He came down to my local show here, went to the Raleigh Card Show, and I got to watch him work as far as buying collections, buying lots, and that sort of thing, and then grading things out and selling. He's kind of a Jedi at this stuff. He's been doing it for so long. He's even got the Jedi braid. I think he actually cut that off, though. But Chris is just one of those easy-to-like guys because he's just so easygoing. We have a similar personality in that way, laid back, and just easy to like. His channel's fantastic in that he's got a variety of different things. He's got the regular rollers, he's got the high rollers, but then he's talking about going to stories, history of buying and selling collections and crazy things that happen, and that's always fun to listen to. And then he also weighs in on hobby topics, whether it's trimmed cards or, grading or this or that. He'll weigh in on different hobby topics. So he's got a great channel, varied channel, baseball card collector, investor, dealer. Next up is Sports Card Radio. Again, for me, just an obvious one. The commentary stuff, the commentary genre of sports card content is what I really love. If we go back to 2020 March when I started, it just seemed like it was limited in scope of consistent content that was coming out with people just throwing out their opinions on different hobby topics. And I was trying to fill a void as well as other people during that time. Sports Card Radio really has been doing that for about 15 years. They had podcasts. They also had YouTube videos going back, but they were heavy on podcast and on the Sports Card Radio website. I really like the fact that as an industry, as a hobby, there is a channel, there's a media outlet that people fear. Nobody wants to end up on an SCR video for scamming or for, cutting corners or whatever it might be. I like the idea there's one big channel that is kind of somewhat of a sheriff. Not really. I mean, it's all in good fun, but they will call it out and it will bring attention to stuff that... All right, next, Flipping Steve, the other half of the off-centered group. So we got Neo, Flipping Steve gets a vote. Steve almost didn't get a vote because frankly, he just hasn't done enough videos for my liking here over the last 6 months. He's kind of ramped it up a little bit over the last few weeks. He's had a lot of things going on in his personal life, so I totally get it. But for me, the one thing that stands out with Steve, he's always done really good content. It's really genuine, authentic, it's popular, and it's just his journey in buying and selling, trading cards, and how he's done it over time. He's always shared what he likes, his process, and that sort of stuff. He adds humor into his videos. But then also, one thing that really sets him apart for me personally, he's done a national giveaway going back ever since we started going, 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago. And he's come out of pocket each time about $2,000 plus, sometimes $2,000 to $2,500. He's come out of his own pocket to send somebody to the national, kind of like winning a magical trip. It's like hotels and flights. It's amazing. Spending money, the whole deal. And that's incredible. So that's something that Steve has done that is really kind of differentiates himself from others to me. He's just a good overall guy. And so Steve gets my vote, although he needs to pick it up as far as volume to get a vote next year. Also next year, we're taking some of the heat off of him for the giveaway for next year's national. We did the fantasy football league with content creators, and Jeff Wilson ended up winning that, but there will be $1,200 going towards that for the upcoming national. We'll probably do that annually so that it takes some of the heat off of Steve. All right, next up, SCI, Sports Card Investor. For me, this was one of the first commentary channels, sports card commentary channels, going back again to 2019 as we rolled into 2020. I got back into collectibles, buying collectibles in 2018, and then really got heavy into it in 2019. But again, not a lot of content then, some, but not a lot. And Jeff was one of the first ones out there kind of talking about what he was buying, why he was buying it. And again, there wasn't a lot of that back then. And so it kind of kickstarted others doing it, me being one of them. And I do respect the fact that he's put a lot of time, energy, money into building a business around it, multiple businesses, and now he's moving into the Cards HQ world of owning a massive, actually the largest, I think, card shop in the United States. And so I have to respect someone that's going to put the time, the effort in, because I understand how much work it is. It's a lot of work, and he's actually put a lot of money. He's actually the only content creator that I know of anyway, maybe Ryan Card Collector 2, the only one that's really put significant money into the production, the background of it, really serious money. Multiple people that are involved, huge money on equipment. And so SCI gets a vote just for the dedication and the motivation to kind of keep it rolling and building it out. And of course, kind of spreading the hobby word to the masses. Next, JimmyGunz. JimmyGunz was somebody that almost won last year, almost got in. And the one thing that stands out again for me, for JimmyGunz, he's got a great vintage card collection, but the thing that stands out is the charitable stuff that he does. He's doing stuff for other people that are in the card community, within the hobby, and overall just seems like a pretty good dude. So JimmyGunz, I hope that you get over the hump this year and get in. All right, we've got 2 left. Jason Cards and Comics. Jason Cards and Comics, a great channel. And this is another one that I've really followed. He gets into different topics. He's a guy that's also collecting comic books, which I am as well. But the thing I like is he's really diving into different topics, different hobby topics, getting in the weeds on philosophy, different ways of collecting, hobby stuff. So I like his professional background, the angles that he brings to his videos. Of course, I wish he did videos every day, every week, but he's always done really solid stuff and just kind of thought-provoking type videos. And I like that stuff. All right, last but certainly not least, wait, let me make sure that I've got everybody. No, I lied. I actually have 2 more left here on the vote. Breakout Cards, Ryan. Breakout Cards. This guy's amazing. Young guy. And I think he went a whole year where he did like 100 different card show vlogs, and just the amount of time and energy that he put in. I think it was 2022. Maybe it was 2021, but I think it was 2022. The amount of energy, the time, the money that it takes to go out and do all these different vlogs, do it really well. I really appreciate that. And he has a very cool vintage collection, not just sports, but he's got a lot of non-sports. He collects vintage boxing. He's got vintage Hollywood. He's got all these different things. So Ryan, a very interesting guy. The first national that we went to in Chicago, I remember getting pizza with him in a big group at Giordano's, or what was it? The pizza place that's right across the street, the deep dish place that's pretty close by. But overall, just seems like really nice guy. I've had really good interactions with him. And I think he's laid off of the vlog stuff. I think he's got some other projects. I hope that he comes back to it because I really like seeing shows through his lens. And he also sent me Breeze cards, that he would see at a show. Hey, you interested in this? And I bought a white sparkle Breeze. He found a good price point on a white sparkle Breeze at a show that I bought off of him at once. So he's always looking out. So got to give a shout out to Breakout Cards. All right, last but not least, and again, this kind of plays on just the amount of energy and the effort. I respect that, just being that I'm doing it myself. Jeremy Lee Sports Cards Live. He started his channel maybe a month or two after I did and is really specialized in hosting live streams, and it was every Saturday night he would have different guests on, and he had such good connections. If I go back to 2020, it'd be Brian Gray, or it'd be the CEO of Panini, the marketing guy at Upper Deck, or whoever it is. He would have all these different guests on, these different industry people that otherwise I would have no idea who they are. Bring them on. They're talking about different, hobby history type stuff along with upcoming products. He'd also have content creators on. I was on with him in 2020. I think it was August or September of 2020. And so he's always continued that. His content has evolved, and now I believe he does that full-time sports card content. He does these new auction shows where he's doing kind of the watch party type thing. He's been doing it for a while, but he does the one with, is it MC Sports Cards? I think it's Monday nights. At first I was like, I don't know if I like this, and then over time I love it. It's every Monday night, and it's kind of the countdown. Snipers are watching. Watch the auctions end. There's a marketing guy for MC, I think, that comes on, and he talks, kind of gives a little bit of history on the particular card that's up. It's just cool because you learn about a card, and then you see what that latest comp is, I guess, on that card. You watch it end, and so you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize that Dennis Rodman PMG goes for $20,000. So I like that he's branched out and he's doing that. That's the sort of stuff that I really enjoy. So shout out to Jeremy Lee Sports Cards Live, the great host. Now I have to go through a lot of other channels. I'm gonna have to be a little bit more speedy. I'm 15 minutes into the video and I haven't even got to a fraction of the channels that I'm gonna talk about. So guys, hang in there with me. This might take 3 days to upload this video. All right, I've got my list here in front of me. Okay, here we go. So Michael Hamm, Sports Cards and Fishing, or is it Fishing and Sports Cards? Michael Hamm, my buddy. Awesome guy, just overall, but he's a Bucks fan. I know he's a Bucks fan, so that's kind of tough to stomach, but I am pulling for Baker Mayfield. So I'm not pulling for the Bucks today, but I'm also not upset if Baker Mayfield does well. I like that guy. But Mike has always been just kind of a good hobby friend. He's very laid back. He hangs out at the National. He's got a cool collection, and he does vlog stuff too. He does a great job with his local Tampa shows, and he's showing me, because I actually went to high school in Tampa, in the Tampa area, so it's a cool way for me to see the local Tampa card scene without being there. So Mike does a great job with that. So definitely check out Michael Hamm Fishing and Sports Cards, or Sports Cards and Fishing. Sorry guys, I don't have the time to actually pull up everybody's channel logo and everything, so I will do my best to explain exactly these channels so that you can find them pretty easily. History Through Cards, another Ryan on the list. Ryan, awesome guy, mainly a vintage card collector, but he's gotten into some 80s stuff. He's gotten into some of the newer stuff here recently, dabbles in it. Long-time collector. History Through Cards is his channel, and I believe it's historythroughcards.com is the website. His writing is unbelievable. His website is incredible. He is a card historian. That's really what Ryan is. He's a card historian, trading card historian. He'll talk about on his channel different events going back through time. He's a whiz as far as all things sports cards, vintage, pre-war, post-war. He's studied it for decades. You have to check out History Through Cards if you want to learn about kind of the history of how did collecting get started, who started it, what's going on with this set or that set, what was going on in the world during that time. It's a great channel. Check out History Through Cards. Andy Sports Card Investigator. He is a investigator, actually, during his work life. That's exactly what he was. He's retired now, but he has a good channel, doesn't make enough videos. I always rib him about that. Sports Card Investigator, going back to 2020 is when I originally found him. He and his son, I believe it was Silver Prisms was what he was focused on. It was basketball cards because his son is a big basketball guy. They both are. And so they were buying Silver Prisms. They were grading them, selling them. I always thought it was really interesting content, and I really enjoyed kind of the father-son element to that channel. So definitely check out Andy Sports Card Investigator. Man, we have a lot of honorable mentions. This is going to take a while. And some of these folks are eligible to be voted into the Sports Card Hall of Fame. Some are already in it, and some are not eligible yet. So this is just a wide swath of check it all out. Iconic Baseball, Iconic Al. This is another one of these like unbelievable dudes, just overall great guy. We both have Italian wives. We have that in common. And he's all about iconic baseball. Baseball card collector mainly, I would say for sure. He is doing a top 100 countdown and going down all the way, kind of iconic baseball players and cards associated. And it's really, really interesting stuff. Even if you are, you know everything about baseball cards, the way that Al puts it and the way that he presents it is really cool. So definitely check out Iconic Baseball. Jons Sports Cards and Collectibles, great channel. He said that he was going to take a break from doing YouTube. He does a variety of different content. Actually voted for me this year. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Done all sorts of different content over the years, but lately kind of done, breaking news type stuff is what I've seen him do. So definitely check out Jons Sports Cards and Collectibles. Likes to weigh in on hobby topics. All for it. I am here to listen. Living with LT. LT, a good dude. I remember he was commenting on my videos early on. LT, military guy, so I can relate to that. My family, I have a huge family background of folks in the military, so I can relate to living on bases, moving around, and doing that bit. But LT does, again, a variety of different content. But the one thing I like is, again, he's kind of weighed in on different hobby topics. He's opinionated on certain things. But I respect when someone is going to throw out their opinion. And again, he's doing this a similar thing, father son. I'm doing it too with my 9-year-old, where they're buying boxes, they're opening packs and that sort of thing. So check out Livin' with LT. Junk Wax Hero Mike, I believe he is eligible next year. Another really good channel, varied style, vintage baseball card collector, but then also, again, he's Junk Wax Hero, so he's got the junk wax stuff as well. And I like his, I think it's Friday Attic Finds. Those are my favorite. I've caught a few of those. And again, he's kind of telling stories of collections being found or, big cards being found in the wild. He also does I think it's Sunday morning, he does a news video as well. So he's also weighing in on hobby topics. He's also doing collaborations with other people. So I like all that. There's a lot of similarities, I think, between his channel and mine with some of the things that we're doing. So definitely check out Junk Wax Hero Mike. All right, let's go to the tinfoil hat crew, AIH Sports. This is Raul. I met Raul at the National. Again, overall good dude. He is an accountant, I believe, by trade. The stuff I like the best from AIH is the finance talk, where he's wrapping in, interest rates, overall economic data that he's looking at, and how he feels that might affect card prices. He is mainly a TTM card collector, if I remember correctly. And, but he's also, he bought like a Patrick Mahomes card, in 2018 or 19 and sold it at the height sort of thing. So he's also played around with some of the flips. I think he has some interest in hey, if cards go down for certain players, maybe he buys in, sells it later. So he's kind of doing some of the flip stuff as it pops up. But for the most part, he is covering kind of the hobby watchdog. I'll use that term loosely, but he's watching out for certain things. He'll look out for scammy type stuff and report on it and so forth. So definitely check out Raul at AIH Sports. I'll just go ahead. On the back of AIH is Dan the Card Man. I feel like I can kind of put these two together. Dan is, he's an Aussie. Let's put another shrimp on the bobby. Dan is a collector of a variety of things. He's got, Back to the Future type stuff, so pop culture stuff, but also big soccer card collector, longtime collector too. He's presenting data that he's seeing or things in the hobby that look a little bit strange. He's going to put that out there. Again, I think in the same vein as Sports Card Radio, AIH, it is good to have channels to where that they're going to pop up. If there's something weird that goes on, that there's going to be videos that sprout out, and then social media does its thing and word gets around. And so for scammers, hopefully it makes them think twice. Mike's Retro Trading Cards, my guys, the big three, I think they got commented, the Three Stooges or something on one of the videos. But this is EP, Joe, and Mike. And Mike does a great job of kind of setting up a weekly show on Monday. They do a few videos each week, but really well done. Mike has a killer intro for every weekly episode, and they go through, it's about an hour long form, great podcast style YouTube channel to where, they go over different hobby topics, but they've got camaraderie because they've known each other for a long time. So it's really, really well done. They're funny. They've got humor thrown in. It's just really good. I think they're actually closing in on 1,000 subscribers. So go give Mike's Retro Trading Cards some love. It is a great channel. Outside of Off-Centered, the three of us, me, Steve, and Neo, that is my favorite three-dude show. I'm looking to hopefully hang out with them at this year's National in Cleveland. Next up, Pepino Man. He is a current YouTube Sports Card Hall of Famer. You can't not like Pepino Man. I always respect, hey, look, if someone's going to throw, costume on and make noises and also talk about cards, do crazy stuff, that's entertainment value. So it's really hard to not like Pepino Man. It's very difficult. And again, a varied collection of different things and a longtime collector. So, this is a great collecting channel. Pepino Man is the man. Kenneth Fornos. Kenneth Fornos, another guy I remember commenting on my videos early on, and then of course he has a flipping channel, very successful channel, and he does amazing vlog stuff that I could never do again. And he's gotten big. I think he works with Pull Wax now, but he does such a great job of getting in, buying cards, selling cards. He's a master at it, buying raw, grading, cracking out, doing all the flipping stuff that I'm not good at. Kenny Fornos, his channel is Kenneth Fornos. But he's one of these 20-something guys that's just out there doing his thing, and I respect that. Definitely check out Kenneth Fornos. Next up, Packers fan Sconnie Tradition. Sconnie Tradition. Again, I'm a football card collector, so Sconnie Tradition is really kind of where it's at for me. I enjoy kind of seeing his pickups for Packers stuff because I do a similar thing with Saints. I'm starting to do more of it where I'm buying, Marcus Colston cards. I just bought a gold prism rookie card for Alvin Kamara. And I wouldn't have always done that, but it's starting to get kind of in the feels, So I'm not necessarily a huge team collector, but certain cards. I'm not out buying like bulk lots of Saints stuff, but there's just certain players, certain cards. And so I like watching his Packers stuff because it gives me different ideas. And he's got vintage Packers cards. He's got new stuff. So it's very cool. I like Sconnie Tradition's style. Definitely check out Sconnie Tradition. Philmington. Philmington is really kind of, to me, he's the baseball guy. He's the guy that really gets it for baseball. And I mean, like, for new product, he has his own product, a rookie card explosion box that he sells that is very, very popular. He does a great job with it. I feel like Philmington can really speak to new prospects. He can speak to what's going on in baseball today. And he doesn't just do baseball. He's in football and basketball cards as well. When it comes to baseball prospecting in that game, I feel like he really, really knows his stuff. New product as well. He understands the checklist. He understands odds. He's just all over it with baseball. He's the baseball guru in my mind. Philmington. And he's a current Hall of Famer. That's Philmington with a PH if you haven't seen him. Football Card Quest Andy. Football Card Quest Andy. I met Andy through Brad, the comeback card investor. And again, I can relate to Andy because he's a football card guy. He does some really interesting analysis where he's looking at how fantasy football and statistics, how it relates to football card prices, a lot of modern, ultra-modern stuff. But he's basically buying and flipping guys, buying people in the offseason, selling, and playing that game. So kind of the bridging the gap between fantasy football and football cards. It's just really, really cool. He's a Bucs fan, so I can only like him so much. I'm kidding, Andy, if you happen to see this. So just good overall dude again, and a football card collector. So definitely check out the Football Card Quest. Ziggyno, the card hunter. Ziggyno has over the years been a critic of my channel, but we found some common ground here recently. So we will see. Hopefully we can keep the ceasefire going. No, I think that we're actually getting to a pretty good spot. But the card hunter, very interesting channel. He has added a layer of content talking about buying into breaks strategically, how he's doing it, not recommending it, but how he's doing it, how he's then taking those cards, grading those cards, selling those cards, keeping some, and so forth. So this is interesting content to me because I don't see a lot of people doing this. I don't see a lot of people talking about how they're buying into breaks, how they're grading, how they're making money back to be able to kind of do it all over again. It's kind of like the hobby paying for the hobby. So check out the Card Hunter channel, and also Ziggyno is the other channel. Sports Cards, once again, another cool channel out there, and I like this guy because he is weighing in on hobby topics, a variety of different ones. He's coming up with different hobby topics and talking about it, stuff that's interesting to him. He also documents a lot of his buys, sells on ComC because he lived overseas for a long time. I don't think he still does, but lived overseas for a long time, and so was using ComC to be able to buy, sell cards. Really even keel takes. And so I like Sports Cards once again, listening to his stuff. Big Scott. Big Scott is another channel where I just found this channel maybe a year ago or so, and I've really seen him more on collaborations with other people. But again, I like just his overall laid backness. I think he's in North Carolina with me as well, Big Scott. Might be in Greensboro. I can't exactly remember, but again, just kind of a laid back collector guy that I always see with different collaborations. So Big Scott, but Big is B1G, I think is how his channel is spelled. Sports Card Madness Podcast. I've seen these guys on YouTube. It's two guys doing interviews. Recently, they interviewed Nat Turner, but I like their cadence, kind of their interview style. They interviewed a Beckett grader as well. So Sports Card Madness Podcast. Cousins Collectibles, the two cousins, Tony and Oz. Oz and I both collect Stranger Things cards, so we have that in common. Tony's a big Philly guy, so he's got Eagles, and he's got all sorts of different stuff. Cool collectors, and again, they're just kind of talking about their hobby experience or buy, sells. Cousins Collectibles. K-Dubs High Five. K-Dubs had me on for, I think it was like a 15-minute interview type thing where he's asking me 5 questions. Mega positive, super positive guy, hobby guy, always pushing like positive hobby stuff. But I like his style. Again, he's a basketball player. He's a teacher. Just overall like happy-go-lucky, just a good dude. K-Dubs, high five. Card Ladder channel. So this is Josh and Chris. They do a Friday night live stream on IG. I never watched it on IG. A, it's West Coast time and I'm on the East Coast. And then B, IG sucks to watch stuff on. So I just skip IG to watch lives that are that long. But they release it on YouTube usually like Saturday or Sunday, and I'll catch it a lot of times on that channel. And again, those guys got in. Big Michael Jordan collector for Chris, and then Josh's LeBron. High-end cards for sure, but good hobby takes and just kind of overall hobby insights that I think that are interesting. So that's on the Card Ladder channel. They also do around the national time, high production national type footage. So that's kind of cool too. Melted Wax podcast with my boy DPZ. DPZ does a weekly show that I put out on Saturday morning on my channel, and he's interviewing different people. Sometimes he'll do solo act where he's talking about different hobby topics, gets people riled up, and it's fun. But DPZ is one of these great guys out there. Lives out on the West Coast. I wish he was on the East Coast or vice versa so that I could see him more. But he's a family guy. He's also got 4 kids like me. But DPZ, the Melted Wax podcast on YouTube. Rollin with FD, another guy. It's really hard not to like this guy. FD, he does a lot of interview type stuff where he brings people on. The Play, I think, is what it's called, the weekly show. But then he also has done a ton of vlog type stuff where he's out there on the West Coast. He goes into Burbank Cards and talks about how he's selling out of this card to get into that card. I like how he talks about sports and kind of wraps that into his card strategy. Rolling with FD, check out that channel. Oh, and he gets his sons involved, which is cool too. And his oldest son does a lot of the editing and the video work. It's amazing. All right, next, we've got Not Sports Cards, mostly a Star Wars cards channel. It's cool. He does kind of these long form stuff where he's talking about Star Wars. He did a Stranger Things card one, which was okay. It was just okay for me, but that's all right. It's good to see kind of just something different because I collect pop culture cards as well. So Not Sports Cards, cool channel. Broncos 79. The Broncos 79. This guy is obviously a Broncos collector. He's a big Terrell Davis collector. So he's got tons of Terrell Davis stuff. He's also on, if I have this name right, the Insert Revolution podcast or YouTube channel. Again, I like the fact that he's a football card collector. And then he's also on the Insert Revolution podcast with Amish Dave Archer. And then some other guys join as well sometimes. But again, just throwing out different hobby ideas. Amish Dave Archer's a long-time collector. I think he's actually been making content for like 14 years, which is incredible. So those two guys are friends that do that podcast together. It's on YouTube, Insert Revolution Podcast. Merleworld Cards, Merlin. Merlin is he's all over the place. Right now, he's into a lot of the pop culture type 1 photos and that sort of thing. I'm actually going to see him here at Culture Collision next week. He and the great curator do a show together. I believe it's a weekly show. Yes, they've got sports cards, but they do a lot of pop culture, non-sports type stuff. And I'm interested in all that stuff. So it's cool to hear just kind of different ideas, different viewpoints coming from the non-sports side. 1 Million Cubs Project. Sometimes I catch this guy. He goes live at like 9 a.m. or something and just talks about what he's doing, buying, selling cards. 1 Million Cubs Project. Little Victories, sports cards, similar. They do a lot of card strategy type videos where they're buying raw, they're grading, they're reselling. Cool channel. Little Victories, sports cards. Cajun Cardboard Brian, huge Michael Jordan collector, high-end collector, but he's got low-end stuff as well. And he got in, I think going back to like 2014, 15, 16, got into Giannis cards, which then he flipped into a lot of big high-end Michael Jordan cards. Cajun Cardboard, if you really want to dig into Michael Jordan cards specifically, but also just his thinking around how he's collecting, why he's collecting certain cards, good channel. ERB Sports, opening up a lot of product. I can't talk. I've been going too long, 35 minutes. Opening up product, ERB Sports, but then also kind of talking about hobby topics that are interesting to him, and he'll open up about that sort of stuff. Sports Cards Lessons with Big Ken. Sports Cards Lessons, really a dealer that's traveling around to different shows and just talking about his show experience. But he's also a retired teacher, so he's got that laid back style, which I really like. David Gonos, collecting tips and hobby topics. I believe that's the channel name is David Gonos. Also kind of one of these laid back guys that's just giving information that is useful. Speaking of information that's useful, Dr. James Beckett, how could I forget? Sports Card Insights. Dr. James Beckett, of course, doing multiple shows throughout the week, different and chunks. He's doing it in 15-minute chunks. But again, weighing in on topics of the moment, hobby topics of the moment, which of course, if I'm going to listen to commentary, and this is going back to when I started my channel, he was already started, and that was somebody that I definitely wanted to listen to, of course, growing up with Beckett magazines, Dr. James Beckett Sports Card Insights. Trike 415 Sports Cards, this guy's awesome. I met him here at this last national face-to-face, and he is a basketball player. He's a Filipino basketball player. He was playing out in the Philippines, like professionally. I think now he is full-time into cards and just sharing kind of the ups and downs in the journey of being a full-time sports card dealer. So 415 Sports Cards, great channel. Sports Card Collector Chronicles. Sports Card Collector Chronicles, this guy, another kind of just good hobby dude that is making humorous videos, but then also providing insights and different tips and tricks, you know, what to bring to the national and that sort of thing. Just a good overall hobby dude. Sports Card Collector Chronicles. J-Mac Sports Cards, another Carolina guy. He's a Carolina Panthers fan, but we won't hold that against him. J-Mac Sports Cards, and again, kind of documenting the journey of buying collections, selling, you know, and all of that stuff. Got Baseball Cards Joe. This is a guy, you've probably seen him on the SCI channel, Sports Card Investor channel. Huge store, long-time store, 30-year plus store in the Atlanta area. He's got that cool southern voice to him. They do a lot of grading updates and grading price updates because they are third-party submitters. They take care of that for you there at Got Baseball Cards. 90s basketball cards with Jake, another guy that's been making content for a good while, and it's cool just kind of to hear him again kind of talk through his Penny Hardaway pickups in his collection, you know, different cards that he's trying to get to and how he kind of maps out what he's going to do. I like hearing him talk about his collecting style. Crosstown Cardboard, these are the two guys from New York, the broadcaster and the teacher. A lot of teachers making content out here. These guys, young guys that are basically, again, just talking about their journey. It's normally it's long form. So this is going to be like a 45-minute episode, 60-minute episode. I think they're once or twice a week. And again, just kind of talking about their journey throughout the hobby. American Arbitrage Cards. This one's actually new to me. I believe he's a reseller channel. He's got a couple of channels. Reseller that also has a sports card channel, American Arbitrage Cards. And again, tips and tricks on how to get in, get out of cards. Interesting. Splendid Sports Cards, Tom Brady Collector. This is Adam, I believe is his name. We have the Tom Brady stuff in common, but also a big vintage baseball card collector as well. So I like listening to his insights. Sorry guys, I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. I'm going way over time here, and we still have quite a few to get through. Midlife Sports Cards, Midlife Sports Cards. Guess what? It's another teacher. It's another teacher, and I'm actually kind of envious of Midlife Sports Cards because he said his dad is also a collector. So not only is he enjoying it, but he gets to enjoy it with his dad. So it's a family affair. And again, I like how he will tackle hobby topics kind of in a straightforward way, looks at it from a few different angles, again, laid back style. So definitely check out Midlife Sports Cards. Carlson Cards, I just bought a Green Prism 2012 Drew Brees off of Carlson Cards. Good dude. Again, I like his stuff because he is interviewing other collectors, and he's mainly a football card guy. You know, so he's interviewing collectors that are, you know, Peyton Manning collectors, or it's a Drew Brees collector like me. And he's really kind of journeyed into getting into, you know, gold prisms and really kind of rare stuff. So I like listening to the journey to get up into that expensive stuff because it's been kind of a grind to get there. And Carlson Cards has made it all happen. Basketball Card Nerd. He interviewed me, Basketball Card Nerd. This is a great interview channel. And again, a collector. If I remember correctly, he is collecting in-person autographs of key vintage basketball rookies. Of course, very difficult to obtain, like Wilt Chamberlain, for example. But he's collecting sets of these different things. But this guy, very interesting guy. Again, I like how he's interviewing other hobbyists and he's throwing out his 2 cents on you know how he collects. And it's always interesting to hear how someone is collecting a niche thing like that. You know, in-person autographs for Hall of Fame basketball players. Some of them have passed away. Pancake Analytics, Thomas, another guy that I believe provides a great service to the hobby. He actually does predictive analytics for work, but then also does it for the hobby, for Marvel cards, for Pokemon cards, for different things. And he's doing predictive analytics using what he knows, his skills, to kind of give ideas of what he thinks are going to happen with card values, card prices, and that sort of thing. And of course, he's got a great IG account as well, where he's sharing different memes and that sort of thing. Thomas Pancake Analytics. Victor, the rookie card specialist. I like Victor. I've referenced him a bunch of times in my videos. He's the rookie card specialist. What else can you say? I just like his style. Again, I met him at the National. I think it's interesting, especially his takes, because it feels like the hobby is changing when it comes to the rookie card and how people are buying cards. There's a lot of people that are buying. I'm one of them that's buying the 15th year, the refractor that's numbered to 25, as opposed to buying a rookie card of a player. For Tom Brady, I've got rookie cards for Tom Brady, but I don't have very common rookie cards. I would rather have the 15th year refractor that's rare than have the not rare, the Pacific rookie card for Tom Brady. So I like how Victor puts himself out there, and talks about the rookie card, history of the rookie card, and ways that it could get better, frankly, because it's changed dramatically. 704 Crew Sports Cards. These guys, I bought cards from them at my local Raleigh card show, and they do kind of a show vlog type show that's interesting to watch. 704 Crew Sports Cards. Orlando, a collector's dream. His collection is a collector's dream. He's down in South Florida, based in South Florida. Amazing vintage card collection. He's been really involved in the sport of baseball since he was young, but then also just got into baseball cards a long time ago and watched content and then started making content, and it's very good. And he's also just very supportive of other channels. He's always commenting. He's always kind of throwing in positive reinforcement to content creators, which is really nice. Extreme Card Breaks, covering kind of hobby scam type stuff. That's most of what I've seen pop up on my feed from them. They probably do card breaks as well, but I see a lot of kind of the this break went sideways, with this breaker, and they're reporting on it. Baubles and Ball Cards, Brandon. I've had interactions directly with Brandon. Good overall dude. He's a Baltimore Ravens fan. He's a longtime card collector. He's an SGC group submitter. I've used him. He did great work for me. Can't say anything bad about the guy. Just an overall nice guy. Nolan, Elite Co. 3. Very popular channel as well, where he is just a machine, buying cards on eBay. He's grading them. And then I think the thing that's interesting about his channel is he's talking through all the grades. So it's a lot of grade reveals, and then he'll break down like, oh, okay, that's what I thought it was going to be, or whoa, this is way off. So I think it's interesting because you're seeing someone that's just graded a ton of cards, probably could grade cards himself, frankly, but has just seen so many different cards, and he'll throw in his 2 cents like, this is wrong, or I think this is crazy, or this was good, this is what I thought. And he's also a football card collector, so he's buying breezes and he's grading those out. So I've always liked watching Elite Co. 3. Coach Co. Collectibles. Coach Co. is the what's going on guy. He is great, just high energy. He does an interview show, mainly I would say. He does a variety of different content, but what I usually catch is where he's interviewing an industry person or another hobbyist. I met him at this past year's National, just an overall nice guy. Can't say enough good things about him. C&T Collectibles, Chad, another guy that I wish made more content because he does charts and graphs stuff and breaks down what he thinks about different card prices. He's a finance guy, so he understands charts and graphs for traditional types of investments like stocks, etc. So always interesting to hear C&T Collectibles break down the stuff. I'm going to shout out Victory Investments. He doesn't do a lot on YouTube. He does a lot of funny shorts and different things on Instagram, but my God, if you want to laugh and you want some crazy characters that this guy plays, check out Victory Investments on YouTube, but also on IG. Reckless Cards, it's Courtney and Jeremy. Courtney's a Stranger Things card fan, so that's our connection. This couple, great. They're a big family involved in their content as well as going to shows and setting up. Just it's cool to see a family really enjoy cardboard, and this is them. Really enjoy it. They had me on for 2 episodes. One, Jeremy was probably bored to tears. We were talking about Stranger Things for the one. The second one, we talked about content and sports cards and the other stuff. But just a really nice couple, nice family doing cards together. Snoop 12922. This is actually one of the original, for me anyway, news card channel. So yes, of course, he's showing his collection and pickups and that sort of thing, but this guy used to do a lot of really good news stuff. I met him in person out at this past National. We've had our differences in the past, but we definitely hashed it out. In person, I felt like this just kind of clicked, like I had known him forever or something. He was just a cool hobbyist. And so shout out to Snoop. Because I'm Carlos does a Friday night live stream that usually goes about 4 hours. Carlos is really, really good at hosting, maneuvers in and out of topics really well, and manages chat and does kind of all of that stuff really well. I will say the live streams are kind of hit or miss for me. Bobby Burrell is a highlight of the live stream for sure. The videos I like the most that Carlos does are the reaction to different hobby topics type videos where he throws in his sarcasm and his 2 cents on a variety of different topics. Those are my favorite from Because I'm Carlos channel. Mike Summer, Wax Pack Hero, another guy that does hobby stuff that looks strange. So he'll comment on different things like that, his podcast. But then he'll also talk about, pickups. He does different interviews with people. Again, long-time hobbyists, so he really knows his stuff. That's Mike Summer. It's Wax Pack Hero. Tyler Short. Tyler Short does really long videos of him breaking down kind of the PSA reveal or whatever, but it's like 300 cards. And then he'll talk about the wins, the losses. But that's why his channel is popular, I think, or the viewers that watch it, is because he's breaking it down dollar for dollar. Like, hey, these are the cards I sent. This is what I spent. This is what I made. So if you want kind of full transparency on what he's doing, it's Tyler Short is his channel. Stuke's Baseball Cards and Curiosities. I like how that's named. As you would expect, huge vintage baseball card collection. Again, talking about kind of vintage baseball cards, the history, pickups. It's a good channel, and he's been a supporter, so I appreciate you, Stukes. Silver Jackify. Silver Jackify, I like, again, he does videos with his dad, which I think are cool. I had him on my channel, I think, going back to 2020 to talk hobby. I met him out at the National, of course, as well. I like him. Silver Jackify is a cool guy, and he's got a really great collection as well to top it off. Andy, She Blinded Me with Refractors. She Blinded Me with Refractors, one of the better YouTube names, YouTube channel names. Andy, I believe if I remember correctly, it's Russell Westbrook and UFC cards are kind of the main collection. I could be wrong. Maybe there's other things involved in there as well, but I really like Andy's sense of humor. I wish that he made more YouTube videos still. All right, guys, I wasn't lying. The honorable mentions video, it's going to be a long one. There's a lot of great channels out there. Hey, if you've got a card channel and I didn't mention the name, please put the name down below. Not the link, because YouTube will just delete off the link or they'll remove it automatically. We won't see it. But if you could just put the channel name for everybody to check out down below, would very much appreciate it. Guys, I've done my first ballot, and it's under an hour long for my vote of 10. And then, of course, the 50+ honorable mentions. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.